What is history of Christianity, supposedly? Like, what happened with heaven, right? Satan tried to overthrow God, and like he decided that he wanted to be God, and like he wanted to convince everyone that he was God. And some people sided with Satan, and some people sided with the Lord or whatever. But I think what was very important for me to find a second ago, is that they're calling Era den Dia. So once again, they're adding the N on the end, and it's Era de, because okay, so what's this? H R, so it's P O. That's a delta. That's a H. That's a lowercase h, ain, or it's an eta or whatever. And then there's an N. And like we've already shown that a million times, it's the plural. It's the Herods, right? Yeah, because it's the breads, and it's the fishes. Is yeah. So what I'm actually trying to say is that like Herod was called God. That was his name. Was God Herod? But what is our tradition that Herod was called? He was the king, right? He was King Herod, which would be Basileus or Basileon or whatever. I don't even know. But I mean, but I think that he was above the Ka. He was God, Herodane, and so that guy was Paul's half brother. Like I think that a lot of people had two moms. So like when it's Rus Kai Rias, which this is the name for Mary, which would be Mother Rias and Rus. Like they might have been mothers together, which is a very realistic situation because Yeza became the Ka. Like he was from a very important family, and that's how it turned into a big war with God, Herod, because he was called God Herod, and so. Paul's family was from the God family. He was called Apollo. He was half brothers with one of the Herods, and he was related to like Caligula and Tiberius. And so Paul's family was getting assassinated a lot after Yeza got tortured in front of everyone by Herod, Eradane, by God, by Dia, Herodane, which is actually Eradane. Like there's no H in front of it. You just have to guess the H on all these letters. Like you will just pick like out of nowhere, you'll just say, well, actually you just have to add an H on top of that because that's A. That's Erodane. It's Erodane but it's Herodane in if a Greek person were to say it, because they put all right, I have to bring everything together because you probably don't believe me about Pa Ra. See, here's you, good, Ra, cuz. What is cuz? It might be cousin. I'm not sure. But here it's definitely saying EY and then Ra, and I was talking about Pa Ra a lot. And I had just been talking about lawn. So there's apasta lawn is something I saw today when I was looking at Acts. This is Praxis. So this is the book of Acts, but it calls them apasta lawn. And I've looked up lawn a lot. I've gotten obsessed with the word lawn, and I decided that like generally I will break off the word lawn because I do think that like it could be part of a name, but like Hezbollah like has Allah. Like I mean it's his Allah. Like it's kind of like that, the party of God. So there's still Allah in it. But if you look up lawn, like it's like you will never find a more respectful word than the word lawn. Like if you look up Allah, then it's going to be like that. Like there are words that when you look them up, they look like that. So I've talked about the ons, alien. Here's on a coin. Like on is on a lot of coins, and here's ka on a coin. It says ka, shan, Suda. I don't know. Sida. It depends. Like I think it might be a lot of time, but it's Suda. But I'm not sure. I sure have been pronouncing it as ooh a lot. All right. So here's a pasta, and here is apostoles. Ton. We all know ton now, right? You will never doubt you know ton and you know taste. You have listened to me enough that we have all accepted that we're going to separate those words. But in this situation, the apostles is plural with an S. And here you're seeing apostolinton, which it might be apostolin, but I think it's apostolindon. And then this one is another different word that, like, they do two dots over the Y a lot, especially when they do that one word, umen. But that's Yana. And once again, we're seeing a very different spelling for Yana. And it's very hard for me to not go, that's Yana. Because, like, we saw Yana in Jesus' lineage. And we've talked about how the Persians thought they were called the Yonin. And I do know they're the Yons. It's on the coin. They are the Yons on one of the coins, probably. If I could find one very easily that says ION on it. This one says on. I think that one might even say Yon. I'm sorry I'm making another video, but Paul Raw! Oh gosh, I love Paul Raw. Like, that's like my favorite name of all time because it really is cool. Like, if you're really a cool person, your name's Paul Raw. But notice that they changed apostolin to the spelling of it. And I think they did it on purpose. It's because you're not allowed to read it. But what I was going to say is dodeca. Isn't that 12 in Greek? I don't know my numbers, but I do know deca, and I'm pretty sure it's dodeca. I used to know my numbers, though. But so, like, I think that's the 12 apostles. So when I say that, like, apostoles is plural of apostolon, and apostolon came from the name apostalon. And, like, so, like, it's about, like, something about lawn, which is, like, God. And so when this is D, like, when I see D sometimes, I think I should just say D. Because I've seen it before where I should just say D. But I have coins that say a iota after the D, delta, which is the name for Egypt, because Baladi is bread of Egypt. Baladi, I thought. Which is not the same as artis for bread. So, like, I don't, because we did see artis just as arton or something a second ago, where it's talking about Yeshua, like, because it's the 5 bread and the 2 fish apparently. But we do know ka, and I know that you're saying that's not ka, that's ko, and you're not doing English. Like, you have to figure out how to, like, look at the epsilon and say ooh for hallelujah or alleluia. Like, you have to really, really, like, that's the only reason I could read Musa, and I still am not 100% certain about it. So I think this would be a singular apostle, which is Yana, which is like a very, like, once again, they're hiding the way of spelling the name. Because they don't want you, because they know that you might know, like, who that person is. You might have seen their name written down or something. But Pa Ra is a person. There's Ra and there's Ra, and Pa is a name. And so, like, Paul Ra is something they talk about in the Bible. We don't know it's in the Bible. Louis is someone in the Bible, and his job apparently is Talana, which it's what it seems like, because there's the Pharisee and then there's Talana. But, like, I don't know. I have to believe in Kai again being and, which I don't know how to not believe it's and. Like, I really don't know how to not believe it's the and, even though I know Ka is, like, I hate to go back to reading this thing again, but Opa, like, is what it might be. The most likely thing I could think of it is Opa, which is the German word for grandpa. So the apostle, the grandfather of Yonan is Yana is what it might, which it would be Yonan also, which is a name. It's not the word for a Greek person, which means the Persians didn't know their names. And, like, you have to know things about, like, you guys don't know that. Like, their rival countries don't know that. Like, you don't know the name of that. Like, they tricked you on that. And when you realize they tricked you on certain things, like you know that they're not telling you the truth about like how to spell ka. Like I know I keep going back and forth on whether or not kai is like, because it could be the 5 are the kai, the 2 Yeshuan. And then we wouldn't, and then we would be confused probably, because like there's a misinterpretation of what the text says, where they're saying there's this miracle with the bread, and I thought that miracle was in Matthew, but apparently it's in Luke also. But what I'm trying to say is that like this person's name was Kashan Surah, like that's like who he was, and this guy was called Alexandra. And this is Ka Eli On. And we see on spelled different ways in different spots. And we see certain letters getting switched out, like this alpha getting switched out with aposta. Where like they're spelling that apostolon because they're hiding it. But more than anything, they're definitely not afraid to put the omicron as the alpha. And so like I would never be surprised if I saw Ro as Ra. Like that's the last thing that would ever surprise me in my entire life. And so like when you see that they're switching out certain letters, like you have to know they're switching out that letter, and you have to believe in it, and you have to believe that they purposely don't want you to know what it is. But I think that might be Opa, because I do know Pa, and I do know that like if it's like saying something about Yana, like it's very likely it's Yana's grandfather. But I don't know, because I really have no idea, because like I just want to point out something real quick. Like when I'm confused about Yeshuan, right here, and I know what that says now, because someone told me, not really, because like someone told me what the words mean that aren't the words. When it says 5 bread, plural, and the 2 Yeshuan, and then we all know that like that's why they use that word. It's because it sounds like Jesus, but we all know it's Ichthus or whatever. Like what I'm trying to say is like, what about what I was translating yesterday about Razdon Yeshuan, the head of Yeshuan. And so like when we're assuming that we understand what Dua Yeshuan is, we shouldn't, because yesterday we were just talking about Perites Li Raz Don Yeshuan, which is on its own line, just like that. Like when it's on its own line, like you know it, like this starts here and ends here. Like, and that's why I like looking at table of contents, but they're not full sentences, I think. I'm still confused about what peri means, so I just take it off. And then I go, the apostle, and I think it's grandfather Yana, because like what is grandfather in I don't know. I think in Greek, I think it's like papu or something. Like I don't even know. So they are doing a variation of pa, and like I did talk about pa ra a lot, and I told you that I was like very convinced that pa is the word for pa, and I think that ma might be the word for ma. And so, but what am I actually trying to say? That like clearly, like we have the exact same word as Yeshuan, which is fish, being used for the head of the fish. So the head of the fish, what is the head of the fish? It's about Jesus had the fish heads. Also, you missed it. It was you're not reading the details. We might have overlooked the fish head section of the book. All right, so is it possible that Marius is a Kai? I don't know. Like I think that we're all kind of reaching that point. We're wondering if Mary's a Kai and like who holds a Kai, because I think that Sada's father was a Kai, right? Wasn't he? Because he's the Abba. Like her father was the Ka, like he was like Kashan Soda, and so like I don't think that like what it looked like is that Abram wasn't the Ka, Like it was her father who was the Ka. And then she was like going to live with Abram or something